Hi, everyone. Oh, perfect. Holly, you're here.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good. Amie, hi. Good to see
Hi,
you.
you as well.
I am so excited to chat with you both today. For everyone joining us on the live, this is our Build Your Dream Registry series. We typically host these monthly with all of our wonderful brand partners. And we just discuss what we think you need to have on your registry based on our own experience and expertise. And so I'm so excited to be joined by Holly from Safe Beginnings. She is a safety expert, and I have learned so much from Holly over the couple years that we have been working together. And Amie from Four Moms. I'm a huge Four Moms lover. I have a lot of your products, so excited to dive in a little bit. So in a moment, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, but just a couple of housekeeping items for everyone on. We are running a giveaway. So if you email social@nanit.com with a link to your baby registry, we'll be selecting one winner, and you'll win a Nanit, an item from Four Moms, and a mystery item on your registry. So be sure to send in your baby registry links to social@nanit.com. And stay tuned. We will be announcing the winner, I believe, later today or tomorrow on social. So yeah, let's dive right in. Holly, do you mind taking a minute to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Holly Choi. You may know me from my account, Safe Beginnings. That's where I give parents easy tips to keep their babies and toddlers safe. But I am a first aid instructor with the Red Cross, a child passenger safety technician instructor, lots of words. I'm certified in car seat stuff in the US and Canada. And I also have expertise in injury prevention and baby proofing. So I always say, really, anything to do with baby and toddler safety, I am all over it. I have two kids who are at school, and I just want to pre-apologize if you hear some loud noises or beeping outside, because there is a crane suddenly today parked outside my house removing trees that fell into my neighbor's house during the storm the other day. So we're grateful for the crane, but if I need to mute myself, don't worry, I'll do it.
I totally understand. Amie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, I'm Amy Stanton. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing at Four Moms. I've been with Four Moms for almost 9 years now. I am the cool aunt to about 7 nieces and nephews biologically, and then I have tons of other friends' kids and cousins' kids, so definitely in it. So nice to see everyone, and thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And then I'm Melanie. I'm the Director of Brand and Community here at Nanit. I have a almost 20-month-old daughter, and I'm expecting my second baby in February. So I'm kind of going through this whole like second baby registry. Obviously, I don't need a ton of stuff, but it's very interesting, like 2 years out, knowing what I know now of like everything that I did use and like a ton of stuff that I never even touched. So it's very fun to talk about this. But let's start by Amie. I'd love to get your opinion, especially as an aunt to six. What are some of the things that parents are really loving right now? And I'd also love to learn, like, as someone who is helping taking care of your nieces and nephews, like things that caregivers are really, really liking to have access to.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange because I build a ton of registries with friends and family. They all come to me and say, "What do I need? What are the hot products? What's happening?" So, I think one of the key things that, well, actually, let's talk about two of the key things that people seem to really appreciate and need, is one, someplace to safely set your baby down. I know that parents and grandparents, especially when they're that first child, want to hold their baby all the time, but it's just not possible all of the time, right? So where do you put them down? I mean, it's 24 hours a day. So a swing is a great spot. The Momaroo from Four Moms is one of the best, I think. Obviously, I might be a little skewed there, but the motions mimic that of a parent. So think about when a baby gets fussy motion is what you introduce to them, right? You're rocking them, you're bouncing them. So in order to kind of transfer them to a seat that does the same thing so that they'll be comfortable and happy, is definitely a plus. And then secondly, I would say a play yard is a great gift. It's one of my favorite things to give. You know, it can be a second station for you if you have a downstairs where you want to change your baby, or if they're taking a quick nap, or again, if you just need a safe place to put your baby down, a play yard's a great option.
Yeah, I have to say, so I have the Four Moms Play Yard. It was a gift off of my registry, and one of my really good friends said you want to set up a second area in your home for like a changing, somewhere to put the baby, and so we had that set up in our family room, and we probably kept it up until she was like close to 6 months, until she grew out of like the like changing thing. She was like getting too big, so I was like, okay, I can't really use this anymore, but for changing purposes, but it was so incredibly helpful because you're not always going to take the baby back up to your bedroom to change them or wherever you have the changing pad set up. And she would take naps in there, and I loved the infant insert at the top, was really nice, and it was easy to take her in and out when she was so small. And that is the player that I recommend to everyone because it is so easy to put together.
Yeah.
It's one hand, it's not very heavy. We've traveled with it all over. And I have put together like I've visited friends and they're like, oh, you don't need to bring your pack and play. We have one. And then I try to put theirs together and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So simplicity means a lot as a parent, I have to say.
Yeah, it definitely lives up to its name. It is a breeze to put together. It's great for grandparents too. I have purchased one for my parents so that they have a station at their house when the kids come to visit and sleep, and it's easy for her to open and close, and they can put it away. You know, sometimes you open a play yard and you don't want to touch it after it's like, it's up, I'm not going to touch it. The breeze is very easy to put up and down, and so it's easy to store. It's easy for grandparents. It's easy for parents. It's a great product.
Yeah, I love it. Holly, would love to hear from you. What would you say are like your top 2 or 3 registry must-haves?
Oh my gosh, well, those were good ones. Um, so thinking from like a safety perspective, I think a lot of people get really excited about the fun things, and you know, especially once you've had a few kids in your life, you start to realize some of that stuff really wasn't necessary. So for me, think about stuff that you are going to need at some point for safety, and can I put that on my registry and maybe get some of that financial help, because some of the safety items are really expensive. So car seats are a huge one. Those cost a lot of money, and especially if you start with an infant carrier style car seat, they're usually outgrown by a year. So then you're going to need another one. So you have to factor in some of the costs of that. Safety gates are huge. You might not need them until like 6 months, and that's fine, but it's one of those costs that can really add up quickly just because you may need, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 of them. And I think I'm a very strong promoter of Nanit because I actually have used Nanit so much in my life, and it really checked my boxes in a few areas of my life. From the safety perspective, I do love the way that the cord is managed on the Nanit Pro in the stand. It is so good. It keeps that cord away from the sleep space, which is crucial. And I think especially for anyone that is becoming a first time parent watching this, you really like want that bird's eye view, but to get it safely with other monitors can be really challenging. And so that's why I like that that's contained in the stand. But the one I've been really on lately, Nanit actually posted a clip of one of my videos the other day on their feed too. I love the Sound and Light machine. And I think that is one of those things that you might buy it for, you know, your baby or your toddler, but it's something that would just become a staple in your house. And I mentioned that we just had a huge storm here, and they're removing trees, unfortunately, from my neighbor's house right now. But it has an 8-hour battery life, and I cannot tell you what a lifesaver that was the other night. We had no power in our house, and that Sound and Light machine was my lighting up my room for me. So It's something that is so useful in so many ways, and I currently use it as a way to wind down at night, and I sleep with the rain noise on, and I absolutely love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge one for me.
I love all of those things, and obviously, I'm a huge fan of Nanit. Even before I joined the company, all of my friends who had kids before me were such advocates of Nanit and would always be showing me their live screen. And when we were out to dinner, you can check in on your baby. So I think for me, when I think about registry items and registry must-haves, and I feel like Holly, you touched on this, items that you will use for a very long time, even though they might be more expensive, you're going to get so much use out of them. So definitely thinking about the things that will carry you multiple years. So the Nanit, for example, I used that the day we brought her home from the hospital. I know it sounds crazy, but she was in my room, but I still put the Nanit on our flex stand. She was next to me in a bassinet, but there was something so comforting for me to be able to like still be laying down and open up my phone and see her in her bassinet. And then obviously we transitioned her into her crib. And now that she's older, it's so funny. I feel like their sleep even gets more challenging as they're toddlers, but dropping naps and changing bedtime, just being able to have all of that data accessible, and I don't have to track it. It's one less thing for me to have to worry about, knowing that I can go in there and I have a repository of all of her naps and how long she's been sleeping for has been such a lifesaver for me. And then we've just recently, so we obviously use the sound and light machine. We had really just been using it for the sound for white noise, but now she likes a night light. And it's so nice because there's so many different colors and it's very, very dim. Like you can make it a very, very dim light. I have found other night lights can be too bright and like will
Yeah.
disrupt their sleep a little bit. So those two products definitely a must have for me. And then the third, outside of the pack and play, the Breeze Play Yard, which um, I love a baby carrier. I think that they're something that you'll use probably until they're like a little over one. So you still get a good amount of use, but it's nice to have another place to put them without having to use both of your hands to hold them. You can walk around with them outside or in your house, do dishes. And it's very soothing, especially in those early days. So finding a baby carrier that works for you, I think is really important.
Yeah. And it's funny, Amy, when you were mentioning the Mama Roo, we used a Mama Roo with my younger daughter, who her nickname is actually Roo, so it was
Oh,
very appropriate. But in our house, we affectionately called it the space chair because of the design. And so we still fondly reflect on, remember when Roo had a space chair? It was such a good thing to have that safe spot for her. And I think one thing I just want to briefly touch on, because this always comes up when we talk about baby gear. Some people feel very strongly about certain types of baby gear, and how they're used, whether it is pack and play or gates or what have you, bouncers, swings. Just as long as we are following the manufacturer instructions and making sure that we're following all of those safety warnings, those products have met so many safety standards. It's just that, make sure you're actually using things like the straps when you put kids in things that have straps on them, right? So that's my one really strong message to new parents and expecting parents is please make sure you read those safety warnings, because it's important and we all want you to benefit from those safety features.
absolutely. And just to piggyback off of that, obviously when you're using the mom row, make sure that your baby's properly strapped in. Make sure the mom row is on the ground. It should not be on the islands of your kitchen. And thirdly, make sure your baby is awake. The mom row swing, any swing or bouncer or rocker is not sleep safe. And so if your baby happens to fall asleep while in the swing, you need to move them to a firm, flat surface because that's the safest spot for sleep. So just a reminder
But that thing was such a lifesaver for us.
The swings are very soothing, I will say, and especially like when you hit that like 5 p.m. time. I feel like with young babies, it's fussy hour, and a swing is a really nice way to get
Yeah.
them to calm down. On that note, Holly, speaking of safety, I know a lot of people look to buy certain products secondhand. So any tips you can give us for thinking about buying, like, for example, a swing secondhand or other larger ticket items that I think sometimes people do look for a secondhand option.
Yeah, and there's definitely always risks when we are purchasing things secondhand, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to do as long as we're doing it safely. So making sure that if a product is regulated, and by regulated, I mean, is that a product that is closely controlled by the government or a branch of the government, like something like the CPSC, FDA, right, in some kind of capacity? If it is car seats, for example, cribs, that kind of stuff, make sure it meets current safety standards. Make sure it's got all of its parts in good working order. All the safety warnings and labels are still attached because sometimes they get cut off and that might be the only thing that you've got to warn you. And make sure you've got an instruction manual for those. And if you ever don't have an instruction manual or you're not sure if you've got all the pieces, it's good to just call the manufacturer of that product and ask them directly. They're the experts on that product. They made it and they'll be able to tell you if there's replacements available, or they might even just be able to send you a PDF of the manual. So please reach out to manufacturers if you're ever unsure about the status of a particular product.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's helpful advice.
I would also say too, we know that people pass down the swings and the gear. So we've actually partnered with a couple of secondhand sites like Rebel Stork and Goodbye Gear. So they are trusted partners of For Moms and a number of other brands where they check their merchandise to make sure that everything you just said, Holly, is there and it's in good working order. So, you know, Facebook Marketplace can be a little sketchy. So finding a reputable secondhand retailer is also really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. And I have heard of Rebel Stork. I haven't purchased anything from them, but they do have an amazing catalog of pretty much anything you could need. And some of it's brand new in box too.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a good place to check. Let's talk about, this is kind of one of my favorite topics, things to skip on your registry or things that you think like, I feel like as a first time mom, it can be so overwhelming and you feel like you need all of the things. So if someone's looking to slim down and have a more minimalist registry, you know, what are some things that they can skip? What do you think, Amie?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I think some of the things that maybe are and very nice to have, but maybe aren't necessarily like necessary, like the wipe warmer, for example, is one of the things that, you know, my sister purchased and was like, I don't know why I have this, right? Like it's so quick, my diaper changes. Like I don't really care. So I would say that's probably one. I'm trying to think about. I'm gonna pass it over to Holly while I think about it. I can tell you
Yeah.
have a few.
I have a strong opinion. Yeah. So this is the thing is that for the people that have followed me for a bit, I'm very open about my journey becoming a car seat technician and that I did that when my daughter was 8 weeks old. And if I could go back in time and remove one thing from my registry, it would be the car seat accessories. Stuff that doesn't come with your car seat shouldn't be used with your car seat. I had every car seat accessory I could possibly purchase. I was very extra about everything I put on my registry. And that's something that I really didn't need. And then I took that course, found out where and how that can be used safely, or where it's just a lot of the stuff I had was just dangerous. It's not regulated. And I was pretty upset because it was really money wasted. So skip some of those, you know, bells and whistles that you add on to things. Same thing goes with stroller accessories. Some of them, like hooks and stuff that you might hang off of stuff, could make it so that your stroller is weighted incorrectly and could pose risks. So just be mindful that those aftermarket accessories, if they don't come directly from the brand and they're not approved for use with that particular item, it's probably just worth skipping it.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think too, especially with social media, you see all of these things. So it's always helpful to do a double check, like what actually is safe, specifically with car seats. I think there's so many like videos that go viral around like cleaning car seats and things like that. And even with that, you need to be really, really careful with how you're taking care of your car seat. So always reading the manual is the most important thing. I've learned from Holly.
Yes.
Um, I totally agree with you, Amie, about the wipe warmer. I was very, I had this perspective that I don't know where I got this from, but I was just like, I don't want to introduce something that then I might have to take away later. And so my thought with the wipe warmer was, well, if like we're out of the house and I don't have a warm wipe, is she going to be upset? So I just never introduced it and she was fine. I think in the beginning they are a little bit colder, but they get used to it pretty quickly. So we did skip that. And then I think the biggest thing that I made a mistake on is way too many clothes. I think in the beginning, your baby is going to wear pajamas. There are so many cute zippy pajamas. Just get those. The ones with a zipper is really great because they can zip both ways. You can change them really quickly, and you're going to be changing them a bunch of times during the day. So just save yourself some money and don't invest in all of the really cute baby outfits because they're never going to wear them. I have so many outfits that still have the tags on or that I washed but she never wore.
Correct.
So
I was gonna say too, baby shoes. I think they're so
oh yeah,
cute,
no, they don't wear them.
but no.
I think I just froze, but I think I'm back. Hold on.
You're back. Yeah. Or a little green.
Okay, I'm back.
There you are. There you are.
There you
You're
go.
back.
But yes, agree with the shoes. I think socks are great, or like most of the pajamas all have little footies on them, and you can put a blanket over them, you know, if they are a little cold when you're, you know, out and about. Um, Before we jump off, this has been such a great conversation. Any parting advice that you would like to give to expectant or new moms or parents? We always love to close with some advice. Anything you'd like to share, Holly?
Gosh, I mean, on this topic specifically, I would say definitely ask people that question you asked us, which is what would you skip? Because there might be something that you really feel you absolutely needed and you realize, wow, I've had 3 people tell me that that was not necessary. But for me, from a safety perspective, I would say just you know, read your manuals. That's a really important thing to me, and try to always just be one step ahead of your child because milestones can happen super quickly, and it's just good to be over prepared in some of those areas from a safety standpoint.
Definitely. What about you, Amie?
Yeah, I would say, you know, for first time expectants that have never gone through it, I think really rely on your friends and family for advice and kind of what they have been through and what they use and what maybe worked for them and what maybe didn't work for them. But I would also say too, every baby's different and every situation is different. So, you know, make sure that you use your gut. And if you think that you know that's something you really want, then try it, right? So I think every baby is different. I mean, I think everyone can probably attest to that, you know. My nephews were all very, very different. So yeah, I would say listen, take the advice from those that have gone through it. And from a safety perspective, I agree with Holly. Make sure you're reading those manuals. I know it's really easy when that baby's just fall asleep, like don't wake a sleeping baby, but you know, sometimes you have to. So yeah, I think that would be my advice.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's wild to see like the the motherly instincts really do kick in, even if you feel like you don't have them when you're. I remember when I was pregnant, I was like, I'm just not gonna know what to do. You so quickly just like learn your baby and what you need to do. And like Holly and Amie have said, like as long as you're following, you know, safe sleep and safe guidelines, I always told myself like if it's not a problem for me, it's not a problem, right? So you don't have to compare yourself to what other people are doing or how much other babies are sleeping at night and my baby's still waking up to eat. Like it's fine and everything's a phase at the end of the day. And it goes by so quickly. So try to enjoy it as much as you can and take care of yourself. I was like 10 different things, but yeah, you have to take care of yourself first in order to take care of a baby.
It's true.
Well, thank you both so much. And just a quick reminder for those that are still on with us, email us at social@nanit.com with a link to your registry, and we'll be announcing the winner, I believe later today or tomorrow on social. So look out for that. And thank you both so much. Really appreciated this conversation. It was so much fun.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.